that's putting the pressure on himself. Brady takes the snap.
It's leaping. He's got it. Touchdown. Patriots. Unicorns. Show ponies.
The New England Patriots are on to a celebration thanks to a job well done. A fourth Lombardi trophy is headed to one Patriot place.
Tom Brady, the guy with 7 Super Bowls and 3 MVPs. The man who's unarguably the greatest quarterback ever to play the game. That Tom Brady has a taste for cars that perfectly matches the size of his legacy. From sports cars to luxury vehicles, Tom Brady's garage is everything you've ever dreamed of, and today we'll dive right into his dazzling car collection. Starting with the Bugatti Veyron Supersport. You see, this is what happens when you win 7 Super Bowls. You buy a car that can go 268 miles per hour. This thing costs almost $4 million. More than most people will earn in a lifetime, more than a dozen homes in the suburbs, and Brady? He parks it casually next to his other rides. Now here's the thing, most family SUVs have around 250 or maybe 300 horsepower. The Bugatti, 1,577, that's 5 times the power, condensed into a low-slung piece of French art that looks like a rocket even when standing still. Underneath that sculpted carbon fiber body sits a W16 engine, which is basically just 2 V8 smashed together into one mechanical monster paired with 4 turbochargers. Yeah, it might sound like science fiction, but it's real, and it's hand-built in Molsheim, France. Each car takes over 6 months to complete, and even then, you can't just go online and order one. Bugatti has to approve you as a customer. It's like being chosen for a secret club, and you could bet they appreciate Tom Brady as a member. The Veyron's top speed is a mind-melting 273 miles per hour with a speedometer that reads up to 310. The tires alone cost $42,000 to replace. Owners say that flooring the pedal feels like getting punched in the chest by the laws of physics. And when you think about it, that's exactly how defenders felt against Tom Brady for 20 years. Fresh off retirement, the guy went from dodging 300-pound linemen to owning a car that outruns helicopters. That's what you call an upgrade. Now, if the Bugatti is about ultimate power, Brady's Aston Martin DB12 is about class and pure British sophistication. Remember, Aston Martin is James Bond's car of choice, the brand that defines smoothness and confidence. The DB12 packs a twin-turbo V8 pushing out 671 horsepower, built by Mercedes-AMG but re-engineered by Aston Martin to sound and feel completely different. It hits 60 in 3.5 seconds and keeps going until 202 miles per hour. But here's the charm. It doesn't shout about it. The DB12 doesn't scream for attention, it whispers, and everyone listens. Inside, the attention to detail is ridiculous. The leather comes from Bridge of Weir in Scotland, the same supplier used for most private jets. Over 70 hours of hand stitching goes into every interior, and you can feel it the moment you sit down. Hit the start button, and the Bang & Olufsen speakers literally rise out of the dashboard to greet you, a small bit of theater that never gets old. For Brady, who's now balancing business, broadcasting, and being Tom Brady, this feels right. A car that's equally at home on a red carpet or a winding coastal road. It's confidence without noise, and it's exactly the kind of calm dominance that made him the GOAT on the field. But now we shift gears, both figuratively and literally, to something a bit spicier. Ferraris are emotional machines, and the 296 GTB is no different, but it definitely broke a few traditions. When Ferrari announced it'd have a V6 instead of their typical V8 or V12, purists lost their minds, but then they drove it and suddenly, silence. Because as it turns out, this hybrid Ferrari might just be one of the best they've ever built. Under the hood, there's a twin-turbo 2.9-liter V6 producing 654 horsepower, plus an electric motor adding another 164. Combined, that's 818 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, and a top speed well north of 200. But the real charm? You can drive it in silence. 15 miles of pure electric range, which means Brady could pull out of his driveway early in the morning without waking the neighbors, if he wants to, of course. Ferrari spent 2 years perfecting the exhaust note to keep that iconic scream alive. Even with fewer cylinders, the 296 GTB sings like old school Maranello magic. And the design is flat out stunning. Air intakes flow behind the doors like sculptures. The rear spoiler rises silently at speed. And the paint, if it's one of Ferrari's 300 plus custom shades, shades could easily add 30 grand to the price. For Brady, this is more than just speed. Owning this car is a conversation of control, the same qualities that defined him for 2 decades in the league. It's the Ferrari of someone who doesn't need to prove anything, but still loves to win. Next up, the change of pace and sound, or rather, the lack of it. The Rolls-Royce Spectre is the brand's first ever electric vehicle, and owning one means you're literally part of history. At over 6,500 pounds, it's heavier than a Yukon, but it floats like a cloud. That's thanks to Rolls' planar suspension, which uses cameras to read the road ahead and adjust the suspension before you even hit the bump. It's not just comfort, it's sorcery. Inside, silence reigns. At 60 miles per hour, the loudest thing you'll hear is the ticking of the clock. Rolls-Royce spent nearly 300 pounds worth of soundproofing material just to make that kind of quiet possible. Open the doors, which hinge from the rear, and they close automatically at the touch of a button. Look up and the roof sparkles. 1,500 fiber optic lights twinkle like a private night sky, and you can even customize it to match a date that matters to you. Brady's could be set to February 5th, 2017, the night of his greatest Super Bowl comeback. It runs on electricity, but the feeling is timeless. Instant torque means smooth, effortless power, and despite its 260-mile range, this isn't a road trip car. It's for arriving quietly, majestically, and unmistakably. Of course, Brady's not always in the mood for handcrafted British silence. Sometimes he wants instant power and something he can actually drive daily. Enter the Porsche Taycan Turbo S. Now, yes, it's electric, and no, it doesn't actually have a turbo, but Porsche kept the name for tradition. And the speed, pure insanity, 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. Faster than most Lamborghinis, faster than just about anything you'd call a family sedan. What makes it special though is balance. It handles like a corner carver because the battery pack sits flat across the floor, lowering the center of gravity so much it feels glued to the road. Inside, it's modern and clean, with 3 massive displays, including one just for the passenger. The sound system even plays a synthetic engine note, so you get that emotional rush electric cars sometimes miss. Charging it is quick, 5% to 80% in 22 minutes, thanks to Porsche's 800-volt system. You can relax and sip a coffee, and once you're done, it's ready to go again. For Brady, this is likely the daily driver, practical enough for errands, fast enough to embarrass sports cars. It's the kind of choice that shows you it's possible to be sensible and still have fun, the perfect mix of performance and polish. Next up, familiar territory. Brady may love his exotics, but deep down, he's all American, and nothing says that more than the Cadillac Escalade, all electric IQ version. This thing is enormous, over 18 feet long, 7 seats, and designed to make every other SUV on the road look small. But here's the kicker. Brady got his fully electric. With 750 horsepower and 785 pound-feet of torque, it accelerates faster than most sports cars while towing your boat, trailer, or maybe even your ego if it's too big. Inside, total tech takeover. 55 inches of screen stretch across the dashboard. The second row can recline and massage. And if you get the right package, there are 40 speakers surrounding you. Now that's more than at some nightclubs in Miami. Cadillac claims it can go 450 miles on a charge, and its 350 kilowatt charger adds 100 miles in just 10 minutes. That's not just progress, that's convenience catching up with luxury. Brady's Escalade makes sense. It's the car for family road trips, for hauling the kids, the golf bags, everything, while letting the guy who conquered football kick back and enjoy the ride. If you've been wondering whether you would see a McLaren in this list, wonder no further. Tom Brady does have one in his collection, and man is it beautiful. With a carbon fiber shell that weighs practically nothing and a twin-turbo V6 paired with an electric motor for 671 total horsepower, the Artura is McLaren's first hybrid supercar, and they absolutely nailed it. It hit 60 in 3 seconds flat, and despite how extreme that sounds, it's surprisingly refined. You can drive it for 11 miles in pure electric mode, just enough to glide silently through the neighborhood before it transforms right into a track weapon. The dihedral doors open upward and forward, signature McLaren drama, and the moment they do, people stop to look. For Brady, the Artura is probably his adrenaline fix, the car for those days when he misses competition, that rush of precision, speed, and control. It's a bit of racetrack magic every time you hit the gas. And then there's the Mercedes-AMG GT 63 SE Performance, the longest name in car history, fitting for a guy with one of the longest performative runs in the NFL, don't you think? Under the hood sits a 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 paired with an electric motor to make 831 horsepower total. That's more than a Ferrari Roma, more than a Dodge Demon. And this thing has cup holders and massaging seats. 0 to 60 happens in 2.9 seconds, in a car you can actually carry groceries in. There's even a drift mode, because apparently someone at Mercedes said, sure, let's make the luxury sedan do donuts. Inside, it's pure decadence. Nappa leather, carbon fiber, twin 12-inch displays, and an AI assistant that literally responds when you say, hey Mercedes, I'm cold. Smooth efficiency, hidden strength, total control. The Mercedes-AMG GT 63 SE Performance is Brady all over again. A legend that doesn't need to tell you it's great. It just proves it every single time you press start. And hey, if Brady's lineup blew your mind, take a ride through another legend's world, LeBron James. Trust me, that one gets wild. Also, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll never miss the next one.